Hi there, everyone. This is Isabel Garcia here, your host for Parenting Plus. Thank you so much for joining me for this installment. This podcast platform is where we talk about all things impacting moms, dads, kids, families of all shapes and sizes all across the region. I am very excited to bring in two wonderful guests with me today. First, we have Nancy Ramos, who is the care coordinator of Family Promise of Wayne County. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Of course, thank you so much. And then we also have Evonne Pomerantz, the executive director. Thank you, Evonne, for joining us as well.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. And so just starting off, wanted to talk about just what exactly, Evonne, if I can go to you first, just the purpose of Family Promise of Wayne County and what the mission is there.
So Family Promise, actually our purpose through Wayne County is assisting families who are experiencing homelessness or families who are in danger of experiencing homelessness. So we run a shelter program and a prevention and diversion program. Ultimate goal is that they are sustainable within the community. So we follow them even after our assistance for 12 months so that we can support their journey to being independent back in the community.
That's fantastic. And in terms of the need, if you will, how many families, have you impacted? How great is the need, especially in, more rural community setting, in Wayne County?
Since opening our doors in 2018, we've actually had 62 families come through the program. We've had 55 successfully complete the program, which means that they were able to stay within the program, graduate through the shelter into their own space. So it's about an 87% success rate.
Wow, that's fantastic. And Nancy, I wanted to go to you next to when it comes to your role as the care coordinator. What do you do with the organization?
I specifically work with the families themselves. So whether it's the families that are experiencing homelessness or the families that are coming in for our WROC program, I specifically work with those families. And I also partner with a lot of landlords and agencies and organizations to help bridge the gap and make the partnership come to life.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. And here I think we can get us all here. There we go. So we can have a little more dynamic conversation here. But I wanted to talk, you mentioned the WROC program. So that's the roof over their heads, correct? And so I know we talked about this, for Rochester First. But in terms of just what that organization or what that arm of the organization does, can you just talk about where the idea came from and what is the roof over their head program?
You got that one because I came in 2 years ago. Nancy has actually been with Wayne County, the Family Promise there from the start.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So I've actually probably been with Family Promise about 8 years now.
Wow.
Family Promise WROC program came into fruition when we utilized a grant to get that program started, and it was with a prior director and we kind of just sat down and said, hey, we got this money, we're going to start this prevention model. Wow. And what should we call it? And so we kind of just brainstormed a lot of ideas and figured out where can we what can we call it? And so we came up with WROC, and it stood for Roof Over Their Heads. And it was a prevention model to help out with, security deposit, first month's rent, utilities, water, garbage, gas, and electric, things to prevent, eviction.
Absolutely, and getting to that point, and I know right before we started this recording as well, we were talking just about terminology, and I think that's so relevant here for this discussion, just to discuss. We're talking about homelessness, but from the prevention program perspective, if you will, it's just preventing not having that stability is really just all it comes down to. And so, I loved our little conversation just about the term, but you as we're discussing here, these are, you mentioned families experiencing or students experiencing homelessness. It's not a definitive terminology, and so if you wanted to discuss.
So main thing is to understand anybody that has been faced with homelessness, it doesn't define who they were, it doesn't define who they are, it just takes their journey and it branches it off into a different direction for a while. It's giving them control back to understand that it's an experience they're having. It's not lifelong. that they're in control or can be back in control of that journey again. So when families come to us, letting them know that this is just a moment in time, not defining what type of parent they are, or that, it's anything to be ashamed of, is the first step, is just making that one-on-one contact with them so they don't feel so alone. We also use the term guest.
Yes.
When we talk in shelter, and that's just so the families understand, like, again, that they're not being defined by a title, that they have been invited in, that they are more than just that person, which a lot of our communities will say those people.
Sure. The othering that can often happen in this just topic of conversation. And I wanted to go back to you too, Nancy. You just mentioned, you've been with the program so long as well, and when referring to, or just the term homelessness, doesn't encapsulate the entirety of who that person is or that family. And what did you say you call them?
I call them my family. So there's a lot of times where I say I'm with my family right now. I call them my family. I stay connected with my family. We do case management for a year after a family graduates the program. They come to me 5 years later. So they're my family. And so, yeah, that's what I call them.
That's beautiful. And I think that, just in terms of the, nuances of all of those things. I mean, you just rattled off, utilities, trash first and last month's rent, all those things that can feel so much for families, and just, just the foundational bedrock of being able to be in a successful, starting point. And I wanted to jump into the students. We were talking, of course, about the roof over their heads. And so when it comes to children, that are going through all of these motions, with the families as well, what's the focus there, at Family Promise of Wayne County, and how does this program help keep them in school, and how critical is that?
So most recently, we had gone to a regional meeting for Family Promise. And we got to meet with face-to-face, just go through some trainings and one-on-ones, and talk to other executive directors, care coordinators, and New Jersey brought light to tapping the school system. There's McKinney-Vento involved. So let's tap the McKinney-Vento reps. Let's see if there's a way that we can coordinate with them to just get a hands-on with the student population that they're seeing, instead of just relying on our local departments of social services to be referenced to or referrals from. So we've had a really great morale with a lot of the school districts in Wayne County, and I approached them. So we have brought in the Roof Over Their Heads program into an actual family WROC slots with the school districts.
Wow.
So we actually have Williamson has a couple slots with us. Newark Central School District just asked for 2 more in addition to their 3 already. And then we have Wayne Central School District. So
excellent. And so can you explain what that means for people who maybe, aren't in this type of, profession, what that means in terms of slots, and then how that funding gets trickled down? And I recall too in our interview when we talked about this, that you had mentioned, and it's so relevant too, that these are the numbers that we know about. This is the collected data. And so, just trying so hard to find all of those families and students that, often can, get missed through the cracks. But in terms of, just what those slots mean and how that funding all works.
Yep. So every school district has a certain amount of funding that comes from grants purposely to assist their student population that are struggling and their families. That funding can be directed however that school district sees fit. And in this situation, what they're doing is they're taking $1,500 per slot, and they're providing that to us. They refer a family to us. We reach out to the family. We do a quick intake. We find out where they're at, what's going on, how they're going to be able to sustain moving forward financially. And then from there, once we've reached all that and we sign an agreement with that family, now that's a slot. Now that family is with us for case management for the next year. Yep.
That's fantastic. And I wanted to talk too about, for families or, others who might know a loved one or have a neighbor or, just anyone that, might be either in that spot themselves, maybe seeing this, and just how hard that first step can be, to come. And for, anybody just generally asking for help, right? It's like, we're very much so in a society where, it's, let me just figure it out on Google, or I'll just do it myself, or there's got to be another way. But in terms of just what this, approach is, and you all are so helpful and warm and inviting, but, how tricky is it to navigate? And in terms of, any of your story, that you'd want to share just in the kind of emotions behind all of it.
I say there's a lot of emotion behind Family Promise of Wayne County. It's not just about supporting families, it's about supporting our community. And so a lot of the times there's a lot of partnerships built with landlords because there's a stigma on homelessness, right? And so we want to break that barrier because the cost of living and rent has skyrocketed, and all of America is one paycheck away from homelessness themselves. And so building that gap to where we say, hey, we're not just here to support the families, we're here to support you. And so a lot of the times there's landlords reaching out, there's congregations that we partner with that reaches out, there's organizations and entities that reach out. I've had a 16-year-old child reach out to me before and say, my mother is experiencing addiction and I live with my grandmother and we're in the process of homelessness and it's because of a garbage bill, right? Wow. So it's about going to the courts with the families and speaking to the judges and advocating for that family and saying, hey, we can get them through this hump, but there's case management for a year after that. So if they experience any other hardships, we're there to support, right? So I say there's a lot of emotion behind the scenes.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think, your point is so relevant to just bridging those gaps, not only with the landlord and building those relationships, not just saying, okay, we see this, where can we, find how to kind of put a Band-Aid on it, but really just strengthen that bond and that partnership.
Yeah, because Family Promise is definitely a hand up, not a hand out. And Family Promise is a proven fact that when communities come together, we don't just survive homelessness, we solve it.
That's absolutely incredible. And Evonne, seeing, all of this and in your experience, at the home here, how are you seeing the trajectory of what these families, get to do then and the next step?
Yeah, we've actually had families that have gone on to purchase their first house. We, reach out to families that even though we haven't, or I even haven't met them because it's been years, we've done a couple follow-ups just following along. We've had families who unfortunately have lost their mother, lost their spouse. We've had families that a couple of them were incarcerated, but the whole goal is still keeping that connection afterwards. So again, that regardless of what hardships come their way or what successes come their way, they know that we're still here. We've had families that refuse to do what needs to be done. I think those are the most heart-wrenching ones, from a WROC program to sheltering program. When a family just is not a match, it's hard to, and I won't say give up, it's hard to let them go. We don't give up.
Sure.
We let them go because it's up to them to show their work, and if they can't show it, then we gotta let you go until you hit your lowest moment, until you realize it's time that you want to do something different.
Absolutely. And for those, and I going back to what you said, Nancy, just there's so many people now that can kind of put themselves in that position where it's like you're just one paycheck away from just things kind of escalating. And when it comes to, reaching out or taking that step, what's your message to people who, maybe aren't at that point yet or think, I don't need the help, there's no way this is going to work. What's your message to them?
I say empowerment always goes a long way, and just I do a lot of story sharing. Evonne does the same thing, and so I come from a place where I needed support at one point in time. I was going through a tough marriage, a tough divorce. I was placed in a safe house, me and my children, and just letting go of material things and not letting those material things define us, and saying, hey, it's time for a fresh start, and kind of sharing that I'm walking with you, I'm not better than you, I'm right here holding your hand, goes a long way.
Those lived experiences really kind of help create that bond as well, I can imagine.
Yeah, it creates empowerment.
That's incredible. And in terms of, just what people also getting involved. I wanted to talk to, because I've heard, yes, I've heard from other organizations. We have so many incredible organizations here across the Finger Lakes region and upstate New York. But when it comes to, just volunteers or participating, we're hearing, of course, the next generation, time is, valuable, of course. But how much of a, workforce, you two are really, at the helm and bedrock here, but for Family Promise. But, what's, your whole structure look like, and what are your needs for the organization?
So right now, we actually took a step back about a year ago. We transitioned out of one space into another space. It was our time to regroup and figure out what direction, what focus. Did we want to just focus on ROC and back off the sheltering component? Did we want to keep sheltering? So as we regrouped, it was literally within 60 days we realized no, we wanted the sheltering component still and the prevention diversion. So we can use volunteers in multiple ways, from being with us at fairs and festivals and just spreading our mission at the table and handing out items, to bringing in items for families, coffee makers, toasters, grills, little like griddles that are electric that you can plug in, crock pots, air fryers, like simple things that you may not like anymore or you don't find a need for. You think a lamp is ugly. Our family is grateful to have a lamp. You didn't like that painting on the wall, they get to put something on their wall. So bedding is huge, hygiene products, cleaning products. So like donation of those items, but even donation of like just time coming in, helping us organize it, showing up for events, spreading the word. Those go a longer way. We have Monday night dinners with families.
Oh, wow.
So they can come in, they sit down, they do family dinner style, and just having volunteers that they're not there to judge them. They're not there to find out the dirty, gritty information. They're actually there to give them a family dinner, enjoy time together, play with their children, and for the first time, just let the family know that it's okay to just relax for a couple hours. Yep.
That's beautiful.
And I always say it gives families their dignity back, right?
Yes.
Because that gets lost in transition with homelessness. And so just to piggyback off of those housing needs, we do have a program, what we call 5-Star Start, which when a family graduates homelessness and gets stabilized into their own environment, we provide those things like beds, toiletries, hygiene products, the lamps and blankets and food. And so, those things go a long way.
But I think, going, as you mentioned, just the dignity of being able to have those choices, right? And say, I want to be able to decorate or, have, a couple flourishes, here and there, of course.
For sure.
Absolutely. And, I wanted to check in on the numbers, because I know that when we talked about the numbers recently, it was pretty staggering. And that's honestly how our connection had started was, I saw the post on Facebook and then kind of bringing in the Roof Over Their Heads program. And so, Evonne, if you don't mind, just talking about just the significance of where we are at this place in time.
Yep, we saw about I want to say it was a 25% increase from 2022 to 2023 school year and 2023 to 2024 in Wayne County. So with that, we had made a post. Our vice president, Chelsea, is phenomenal with that, and she's a data guru, and so she posted it, and when she posted it, she did not expect that post to blow up the way that it did.
Yes.
And it made an impression. I think it made a huge impression, especially on the Newark Lions School District, to see those numbers, because they're so close together and they're like part of the main RTS route for busing. So to realize that our numbers are so huge was impactful. But what I tell everybody is those numbers are nowhere close.
Wow.
Those are the kids that are in school. Those are the ones that McKinney-Vento reps in the schools know about. Our school district had no clue me and my boys were homeless.
Wow.
I did not verbalize it. I know there's many families out there that won't. They will couch surf. They'll use somebody else's address. They'll drive their children in and drop them off. So those kids aren't being added to the data. The kids that aren't in school yet but are in the school district aren't being added to that data. So the numbers that you see where we're almost 400 about a year and a half ago experiencing homelessness in our county doesn't even touch upon what it really is.
Wow. And I appreciate you so much for sharing that. And then you too, Nancy, just all of the background and sharing your story. if you wouldn't mind, Evonne, if you're comfortable, just talking about kind of fusing, your experiences with the component of, seeking help and also being ready to take that step. But, for you, kind of being in that in-between space, if you will, what was your decision and how did you kind of find the path that you needed to find?
So, I was lucky in that I had friends and family. The problem is you feel like a burden. So when I was experiencing that, you make it fun as much as you can for your children. We're going to camp out at so-and-so's house, or we're going to, bunk up on the couch at Papa's house, or but as a parent, you feel like you're failing. You are very ashamed. You don't want the school to know. You're afraid if you're going through a divorce. You're afraid of the courts finding out, your ex finding out that housing you thought you established, you didn't actually establish. I was really blessed to have old landlord actually have space for me. So I moved into that space with my boys. And to this day, some of our favorite memories is that little space where we could talk to each other from our beds. But we came up with the philosophy that no matter where we were, it was that home was where we were as a family. So even today, like when my boys and I travel and they're grown and we go somewhere and we are like out for the day and we're like, okay, are we ready to go back home? We're not going back home.
Right.
We're going back to the hotel or the campground.
Yes.
But that's what we've learned is because we're together, that's home. So, yeah.
And this is another example though of, being able to get through that. I'm sure, can just be just overbearing, and just the weight of that. But you all are doing such absolutely incredible work for the community. And circling back to you, because I know that you were also mentioning at our previous talk about how businesses can also get involved. You mentioned the landlords and the partnerships there, but in terms of sponsorship and being able to partake, in the slots, what else can be done?
So we actually do sponsor a month. We've had a few different places, like Dobbins has been part of that. Grind On actually has been part of that, which is a coffee place in Newark, where they send in a certain amount of money. And then what we do at the end of the month is not only do we put their information out there as a thank you publicly, but we follow up with them privately. We just give them a quick little rundown of how that money assisted for that month. So we have churches that assist us.
Personal donations.
Yep. We have lots of personal donations that come in, and we're grateful for that. I think what gets missed is how easily, like, just a workplace match can make.
Wow.
From school districts, because we are on the United Way.
Okay.
So to donate. So if you're working somewheres where you donate, even if it's just $25 a month, and then your workplace donates a certain amount, or another employee donates that, like how far that would go.
Wow.
So
that's incredible. And how's the response been in terms of expanding with the roof over their head program now too? And where do you hope to see this go?
I would like to see every school district know that they can tap us for case management to kind of lighten that load, so that their guidance counselors and their psychologists that they have in their school district can focus more on the emotional end and the scheduling end for the children, where we can kind of like lead that family and direct them and support them in the growth in the community. So I'd really like to see that WROC program kind of branch into every school district as a team effort, partnership effort. I would really like to see us be able to pick up a unit where we can shelter more than just 2 families. Okay. Where we can be in that building, have multiple families in that building who know they can come right downstairs, bounce ideas off of us, and just be able to have us support them through, their phases as they're getting ready to go out on their own also. Absolutely.
And Nancy, in terms of, your role, volunteers or anything else, what do you see the trajectory going, or what are your needs right now?
I would just say the same thing as like more partnership with the school districts, because I work a lot with the children, and children are so resilient, right? And so they go to school and they don't show homelessness, right? You don't know that they're sleeping in a car. Yes. You don't know that they're sleeping on a couch, and you don't know that they're sleeping on a pallet on the floor. So building that bridge to help these children overcome their experiences in life, I would love to see that.
That's fantastic. You know, it was a couple weeks ago we were talking with actually Elaine Spall from Center for Youth, and she had a really interesting point about how, you know, it doesn't present children, it doesn't present the same as you would think of,
No.
you know, in, you know, for kind of the stigmatized, you know, what you or see, you know, people out and about, just actually like panhandling and stuff. She's like, children won't do that. They will stay, you know, to the couch and their friends and things like that. Well, I just want to thank you both so much. We have just a couple more minutes to finish up here, but in terms of you know, getting the word out, where can people find you? How can people participate? Businesses, the whole gamut.
So we are actually located right now in Newark.
Okay.
And we are working out of the First United Methodist Church in Newark. They've given us office space. So we're there Monday through Friday. We're trying to have more consistent hours in office, you know, pretty much 10 to 3 o'clock. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on the website. Our phone number is 315-665-0037. You can just call us. We have Family Promise of Wayne County
org.
Yeah. So it's like we're there, you know, calling, dropping us a message, emailing us, even private messaging on Facebook. We've had a lot of families and a lot of people who want to partner that do send us the private messages on Facebook. So they're checked daily.
Excellent.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt to reach out to our personal emails or Facebooks, because once you put a face with a name, we become a friend and we become a family member. And so we do get messages sometimes with our personal information. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies, both so much. I really appreciate all of your time and sharing
Thank you
all
for
of the
having us.
information. Of course. Thank you. And we want to thank you for joining us for this installment of Parenting Plus.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.